Hello and welcome or welcome back to Talking About Cross Stitch with me, the Stitching Owl. I come to you on December 29th of 2024 from London, Ontario, Canada, and I am so happy to spend a moment with you. Today this is a floss tube extra, not a normal floss tube. This is all about what I hope to accomplish in 2025. Now, my hopes are simply hopes. When they happen, that's excellent. When they don't happen, I don't end up being hard on myself because they are hopes and sometimes life gets in the way. So let's dive in and see what's on my list. So for the first time ever, I'm going to take part in Whip Go. Now, if you don't know what Whip Go is, WIP actually means works in progress, and we have a 25 box board, like a bingo board, that has been set up. This is a Jessie Marie Does Stuff initiative, and she encourages us to make it our own. Your board, your rules. So it's going to be my board, my rules. And it's not really going to be works in progress, so mine's more of a start go. I am going to be working with Amy of Renewing Stitches to complete 25 ornaments in 2025. So we'll be working on 2 ornaments a month, with 1 month having 3. When they call 13, 3 numbers are called instead of 2. At this point, Jessie Marie has already called that it is number 11 and 20 for next month. And for the life of me, I cannot remember what 2 things were on those, but you will find out next week on my regular floss tube. So, Whip Go with ornaments. And speaking of ornaments, I'm also going to be doing a hashtag ornament sal with Allison of Mrs. AZ Family Zoo. We are going to be continuing our work with the It's So Emma little circle stitches that I have been making into lollipops and things like that. I still consider it an ornament. It just happens to, instead of hanging, be sticking out of an arrangement in the middle of the table. So we are encouraging everybody to make ornaments and to tag us in Instagram and in your floss tubes as well, to let us know that you are making ornaments too. They can be any season. It does not need to be Christmas, but if you want to do Christmas all year long, please feel free. I am looking forward to seeing how many ornaments can be stitched in 2025 by all of us. And I think I need to put on the glasses. Apologies for any glare that this calls. Okay, I will be taking part in Bringo. So Bringo is another bingo board that has been set up by Carolyn and Robin of the Magazine Monthly Cross Stitch Challenge. To get the list for what is being queued for each one of the numbers, you join the Facebook group, answer their 3 questions specifically, and then you can look under events to find out all the details and figure out how to make postings. There are prizes. I don't tend to go for the prizes. I'm just having fun participating. The Pigeon Coop book, in the woods, I'm going to be continuing to stitch at least 1 pigeon coop pattern at a time, sometimes more than that, and working my way through as much of the book as I can in 2025, if it's possible, stitching every one of the patterns except for the insects. Now, I'm often stitching on 20 count, or could be 22 or 25. Therefore, many of those patterns actually become ornaments in my hands, but I'm enjoying every stitch. Now, Helen D has a hashtag pigeon book Sal, and I think she's just started a pigeon coop Sal that has to do with stitching specifically a bird, but it could be any bird, not necessarily inside that book. Flosstube extras. In 2025, I am going to be doing a series of Flosstube extras that are comparisons. Many of us are trying to figure out, okay, what flosses have the best coverage, what has the best price point, things like that, and what actually compares out very well or has a distinctive look. So I'm going to take one pattern, and it's going to be a rainbow pattern by Vitalia Mischuk on Etsy. It's only 80 by 56 in stitches and has DMC posted as the colors. And then I'm going to be choosing other flosses in comparative colors, sometimes what's classified as identical colors, to show you whether they show up the same and therefore you can spend less money on your floss if you'd like, or whether they've got a distinctive look if you want something that is a little bit more creative. Cabin in the Woods by Flossabilities. And I have not downloaded this pattern yet. It's going to be a January start with Sally of Flossie Sews and Grows, where she's celebrating British designers. And I have stopped and looked at that particular pattern so many times, it's definitely going into the basket the next time I visit Etsy. Barred Owl by Mud Puppy Designs is this one. Now, I was very, very fortunate. Kenzie, who is Mud Puppy Stitchery, gifted me this pattern. I believe it was in November, and I have slated this for a New Year's Day start. So I have a new owl for 2025, and thank you so much, Kenzie. My tiered tray sal that I'm doing with Lisa of Forest City Stitching is going to continue in 2025. Now, the one that I have already started is the Woodland Critters tier, and you can see that we've got a hedgehog, a raccoon, all the little critters and mushrooms and acorns. These are adorable. Now, it's turned out they are smaller than I thought. So I'm going to be able to do more than one tier tray and hope that I will be able to work through between 4 and 6 of them in 2025 that reflect seasons like Valentine's and St. Patrick's and being Canadian and things like that. So these are Erin Elizabeth designs, and I encourage anybody who's working on a tier tray to hashtag Lisa and I on Instagram and on your Flosstubes. I have become friends with Lisa of Lost in Stitches, and my goal is to stitch another Lisa pattern in 2025. She has a number that I want to do, and I haven't picked out which one, so it's going to be a stitch what I want when I want moment. Jeanette Douglas. Well, Jeanette Douglas is going to be the visiting designer at Stitch North in October. I would like to stitch a Jeanette Douglas, hopefully the one that I've picked out with Lisa of Lost in Stitches, and in an ideal world, finish it at Stitch North, but we will see what is meant to be. The biggest challenge is that the pattern came with flosses that are not separated out and I just haven't had the courage to try and separate them out. When I am doing mill hills, what I consider the hardest part is separating out the floss, but at least I know it's DMC, so I can compare it to my DMC chart. So I have a bit of work to do in prep, and then I will dive in. Now, another thing that's happening, I'm just going to show you something that my husband purchased for me when we were engaged, so over 40 years ago. Look at this marvelous, so it's called Personal Collection, and initially the thought was that he would get me glass ornaments to be put into here, and as I'm sure you know, I've got lots of little ornaments, but now I want to do little stitches for in each of these spots and simply pick out areas of patterns to make into a small. In a perfect world, I will actually be able to have this on my wall and change out my little stitches with the seasons, but you can see that there's quite a few little shelves, mini shelves on that one. So it's going to take a while for me to do my inserts, but I'm going to have fun with that. When it comes to full coverage, as you know, I have been working on the Quaker Flag Canadian. This is a pattern by Vivian Powers of Vivsters on Etsy. I started it in February of 2024. My goal is to finish it sometime in 2025. Now, there is 48,382 stitches, and at the present time, I'm at 44%. So I think I can do it. Fingers crossed. I lost ground in December because I actually didn't stitch on it at all while I was doing my Flossmas videos. Stitches So Beautiful by the Shore. This is a pattern by Kaplan Dorr. And I am enjoying every stitch, but I'm fairly early in this stitch. I would love to finish it sometime in late 2025, but I'm not sure. There is 164,994 stitches, and at the present time, I'm only at 13.9%. So we'll see. As we found out with my stained glass owl, I don't get bored stitching on the same stitch every day, and this will be my middle of the night stitch. So we'll have to see whether I can actually stitch enough stitches or whether I actually start being able to sleep. I do plan to have more than one full coverage at a time. It's just that in 2025, I'm not going to run more than one big art project at the same time. So for my other optional full coverages, there is a butterfly that I'm going to stitch with Laura of Stitching by the Shore. It's a Doreen Jones pattern. We're going to begin this in March, somewhere around what I classify as March break, so that I go, yes, we're going to arrive at spring, even if Ontario still has snow everywhere. So I love all of the colors here, and it's got 19,600 stitches, so I expect I should be able to finish it, but it does depend on how many stitches I'm doing at the time. I also am going to be starting a Drake Warrior Kitty, which is by the Cross Stitch Studio, with artwork by Maxime Chiasson. I'm not sure how to say her last name. So It's got 30,625 stitches. I've owned this pattern for over 2 years, and I just want to stitch it. So I'm going to start and see where it goes. I want to FFO as many projects as I can that are finished today. Yes, there will be finishes in 2025 that I will do, but I've got about 30 finished projects that are carefully rolled so that they don't get creases. I will never fold them. I would like to work my way through those and see if I can do at least once a month another finish out of my, it's not an under the bed box, but it's the premise of that. For Canada swaps, I am going to have 2 more swaps in 2025. For Canada Swaps 2, the sign up is right now for another week and a bit, and then I'm going to send out everybody's information, and the mailing time is the first 10 days of March. I am hosting this on my own this time, and really excited about seeing what everybody stitches. I've got some returning stitches and I've got some new stitchers, but there's still room for more, so I hope you'll join me. Canadians abroad are welcome to join as well. I've got 2 or 3 that have said, it's okay, I'm happy to send outside of Canada. And I thank those of you who have said that. And in conjunction with Canada Swaps, I'm going to be doing Canada Chats, so that the first Saturday of each month I host a Google Meet where we get to stitch together, play games that are somewhat associated to cross stitch, and just generally create a sense of community that joins the stitchers across our country. While it certainly is open to the people that have done either the first or the second or both of Canada Swaps, if you're a Canadian stitcher, you don't need to have been doing a swap in order to join that particular online chat. I will, if it looks like I'm getting more than 30 requests, what I will do is host more than 1 Canada Chats rather than have so many people on a single chat that we really don't have a chance to get to know each other. And when I do the chats, I would mix up the different people who are on together each month if it turns out that is a challenge. This past time it wasn't a challenge that I got past 30, but it would be a wonderful challenge to have. And there I am. I think I'm saying that is enough hopes for 2025 for me. And you know that there will be many more stitches in between each of what I just chatted about then. So I hope that if there's anything on that list that is like, oh, I've got that pattern or I want that pattern, that you will join me and you'll alert me. If you do not do Instagram, I would love to have the photos sent to my email address, which will be included in the description box, so that I can share those on my regular Flosstubes as well. So 2025 is going to be a fun year. Come stitch with me.